Hey there, diecast collectors. Today I've got 80 1/64 scale diecast cars from Johnny Lightning. These are all cars released and sold between 1994 and 2005. They've been in my collection for quite a while, ever since Stephen Papa and Peter Brewer sent these my way as a random act of kindness gift several years ago, of which I filmed my mystery box openings. There were several videos with a lot of other die-cast cars that came out at that time along with these. And I'm finally going to open up all of these cars. We're going to get them all out into loose, take a look at them, give them a little shine, and enter the collection. There are a lot of oddball cars here. There's some really interesting things and some pretty good, almost complete, and even one complete series of cars. So we can really take a look at the sign of the times and how things have changed over the last 30 years of collecting Johnny Lightning 1/64 scale die-cast cars. 80 Johnny Lightning cars on the review table. Well, they take up quite a bit of space. Either in the package or in a storage box. It's something that just doesn't work for me. I would love to have these cars loose. So that is the primary reason why I'm opening these semi-vintage Johnny Lightning cars today with you. Obviously, it is going to be a lot nicer to see these cars out of the blisters, which are in so many cases quite dusty, worn out, and scratched with pretty poor condition card backs now after all of these years. And it will be so fun to bring these cars over to their new home somewhere in the Diecast Museum to be displayed. I'm going to try to get through these cars as quickly as possible with you, given that I have 80 cars to open, look at, and display in this video. I'm not going to try to figure out what every car is if it isn't very clearly marked on the package, which I've already looked at in a former video just about a week ago and uploaded here to the channel. So let's just look at the car and get them opened up. This is the Johnny Lightning Dragsters USA series. Copyrights on all of the cars which I have in this series. There's about 10 in total here. Range between 1995 and 1997. Cars that don't quite correlate with the car in the package, but still very cool pictures. That's just a recap and a black and white reverse. Let's see what the condition of these cars is under this lighting without all of the old plastic in the way. 1995 packaging has taken on quite a bit of opacity, and this looks so much nicer now. Released to the wild. It's probably going to need a little bit of a shine up, but let's just get all the cars open up, see what features we have. Check it out. The Chi-Town Hustler. And there is a limited amount of table space here, so we're just going to keep cracking cars in no particular order, but from the same series. And I have all the cars set out on the table here in the different series that I have. So we have another Chi-Town Hustler. This one has the Hawaiian car in the background. Now, I wonder how rare these are in people's collections, how many people actively collected these cars, and how many people bought them as toys, or how many just have disappeared due to the course of time. I guess I shouldn't forget these limited edition plastic Johnny Lightning tokens. And that's just some thought I always have when looking at vintage cars like this. And obviously it makes it a little easier for me to open the cars if I know they're not really rare. Because these are not. They went to limited edition in the top right. And somewhere on these cars I've seen mintage. So limited edition, for instance, one of only 12,000. There's another one that is one of 15,000, and I did see another one as high as 20,000, and that I believe is model specific, not to cars of the series, because that wouldn't make any sense. So with 15 to 20,000 of these cars out in the wild to be collected now over the last 26 years or 30 years, probably doesn't really matter too much that I'm opening these up as far as value to the cars. Like if you're thinking monetary value, which I always talk about in the channel as I look at collectibles, especially vintage collectibles. Just a, interest for the total hobby. But for me, I mean, I'm not planning on selling them or anything like that. No time soon. Anyways, they're going to be going into the collection. And I really haven't sold any cars from my collection in years. And even when I did, it was only a handful of customized cars I had painted myself. That was a long time ago. Anyways, these cars are just looking really good. I mean, I'm going quickly here because we have a lot to look at, and they do all open. These are those chunky, older die-cast castings that Johnny Lightning was really known for, or at least in my opinion, as I look at the cars from this era, that being the 1990s through to the early 2000s. Wide wheels, narrow base partitions between those wheels to accommodate the width of the wheels while still keeping them within the line of the body of the car, not sticking out. And obviously opening features, which is really nice. I haven't really examined these tokens closely, but I imagine they match the car, so that's kind of cool. I could actually tell you what each of these cars are, potentially. Got the Chi-Town Hustler, 72, but it's not much different than what the name of the owner is the car, and not the actual car that it was, which we can figure out. But I just, for the purpose of moving this video along, like I said, I don't want to have to examine the cars and potentially guess wrong, and I really haven't sat down and done a ton of homework for this. Just wanted to crack a bunch of cool old cars with you guys. Collector number 24 is the Rug Doctor. That's kind of cool. Now going to a cardboard token instead of a plastic token, so already some signs of perhaps making it more economical. Here's a strange looking narrow funny car. We're losing focus a little bit here on the camera for a moment. See if we can change that, but with the camera being up and looking out towards the cars as they enter the table and close up, there's going to be a bit of lens adjustment, which we'll have to probably accept. Now going to a colored back instead of the black and white on those cars, and limited to 15,000. That's the only one I see with a cardboard token. Here is the newest by release. This was released in 1998, New Year 98, actually copyright 1997, and it's got this cool artwork leading up to the countdown for 1998 New Year, and we've got Father Time as the car. Anyways, there's some stories and stuff, but they're not necessarily related to the car, as in this case it was related to story to New Year's. Hopefully all this package rustling isn't too offensive, but I do like the tokens. I certainly am keeping those. So Long 1997, and of course, very, just did that off camera, but very robust feeling collectibles. Nicely detailed with the taillights and reverse lights there, and the headlights, and the matte black grille. And Johnny Lightning cars do roll really quite well. This one has rubber tires. Often, and on many of the cars I've already opened up, I've seen the plastic wheels. It's actually a two-part plastic wheel, but this one has rubber tires for 1997 and 1998, which I'm just seating back on the rims, smoother roll. But these wheels here are the plastic, shiny co-mold wheel. I call it a co-mold because there's two molds cohabitating to make the one wheel. And here's another one, the Revel car, the Blue Max in the background. Some of these are opening up a little better than others, but again, I'm not keeping the card back in this case, although I have in the past for certain models. These ones just, I'm not seeing that they're probably in the best enough condition to be carefully opening them up with an X-Acto knife or any other sort of method to preserve the card backs. Really, the way I preserve them in my own way is by documenting all of these cars here. In the two videos I've since made, zooming in on the details of these cars, ultimately ending with this opening of the models with you guys here. And for me, that suffices, given that there's about 60 or 70,000 cars in my collection. It's just gotten to the point where I really have to assess why I'm collecting, and like I said, it's not as an investment vessel. It is is a hobby for me that I love to share with you guys here on the channel, and also to experience for myself. There's a thrill. It's like the thrill of the hunt. There's also the thrill of the opening after the hunt of the cars. And I mean, I didn't hunt these cars down. They came to me, which is even more awesome. But I know that Stephen and Peter fully would expect me to review the cars, and I believe even asked me to do such a thing way back when they sent them to me, which was, I say way back, a couple years ago. The cars have been in storage since then, and it is well past time to take a good look at them. I will check all the rubble here after I'm done filming to make sure I got the coins, because I can't quite remember if I'm grabbing them each time. This one is really neat. I love the colors on it. Don Garlitz, looks like a Pontiac GTO. Ooh, we got the messy opening. That's what I call that, when you have to do this sort of reaming out of the back paper skin to get to the car. Very well packaged to survive the last 3 decades here. Big Daddy. And yeah, really nice paint jobs on the Johnny Lightning. That is one thing that hasn't changed at all. Still got great... Oh, I don't think that was supposed to happen. We have lost the body. It has sheared right off. That is the danger with opening up old... and it would have probably happened right from day one. Probably a stress crack. Very small spot. Broken across all 3. Basically in the closed position. So this car was not meant to be opened. That's what it's telling me. I mean, it was, but it did not want to open up. And so now we've got like a little Mad Max Roadster here. But that's okay. It's not the first car I've had fall apart top to bottom, and it will still display just right. I don't even know if it's worth gluing it. It probably is nowhere to glue it securely anyway, so I think that's going to just be fine. It's a curiosity of that particular car in my collection. So maybe I'll be a little more careful. I'm going to examine how these cars open. I just assumed that they would be robust enough to open fresh out of the package. I mean, we're not even at the play stage yet, and more than likely these cars have been saved from that. Yeah, I said I was going to be more careful. I don't know how to be less than the careful I'm already being. I'm just opening the cars, so as all of them have opened so far, just fine. Wild Willie Borscht. So that is a lot of drag cars right there, and you can see now I've got them all in one little spot. They're going to display really nicely in the Plano 5324 storage compartment cases that I use, mounted throughout the museum, and hopefully we've got a spot for them. If we don't, certainly I'm going to make one for this video. Let's get into the Johnny Lightning Racing Machines series. I've got 3 cars from this series. These ones have a card back that matches. Copyright 2000. Parent company is Playing Mantis. Got the full color back. Now these are larger than your standard Johnny Lightning packaging. As you can see, it doesn't even fit in the camera. Quite a difference in package size. Really unwieldy to display on the wall if you want to keep all your cardboard. And they do have some nice artwork on them, but the car is also on that card back, and it's just a huge piece of cardboard. So Johnny Lightning wasn't the only company in this time frame to make massive packages to help sell their cars, or at least so they thought. Hot Wheels did the same thing. We don't see it as much today, thankfully, because I don't really have any use for it, and I don't think anyone ever did. It's just more cardboard to try to protect in storage for the most part. So we've got a simple card, trading card, if you will, and the Wonder Bread car itself appears to be a 70-something Camaro. But you can see how fine the attachment points are on these cars. I don't know if it's even worth really opening them all up after having broken one, so I think we're just going to move along. Now this one has a rubber tire, which is nice. So as we proceed past 1997, the rubber tires started to really become more prevalent versus the plastic co-mold wheels. That's a nice card back when you see it up close like that. And here, look at the plastic. Ooh, it's gotten so brittle. It's turned yellow from UV damage. It's crunchy feeling. Sometimes it shatters into little shards when it gets that old and sun damaged. But the cars always come out looking brand new, just as they were intended to, which is awesome. And now check out those front little skinny wheels on this car. Looking more and more realistic as the years continue with the collection. As far as the tires and the chassis and everything is really, really good. So, yeah, it's stiff. Like, to pull it up any higher than that, I can feel great resistance. So there's just no point in actually trying to display all of these cars with the body in the maintenance mode or whatever, showing the engines on the chassis, because some of them are going to break if I do that. And the last one is a Funny Car Legends series. So some title changes. They call this the Real Wheels series in the top right, which I guess is kind of like their own lingo for rubber tires. Hot Wheels, again, at the time uses the term Real Riders. So Real Wheels series. That's I think that's quite accurate, and it's nice to see. So another nice little card back. Great photography of those card backs, or trading cards. And then, holy smokes. Holy smokes indeed. Yeah, that's a really nice paint job on this car. And we've seen quite a few of this casting coming out. I'm going to try to keep these together, perhaps. I'm not really sure how I'm going to display them. I mean, normally I display my Johnny Lightnings, and I probably will in this case as well. All by the same type of model. So Pontiacs go together, Fords, Chevys, so forth and so on. It's probably how I'm going to do it, but for these cars, I'm going to have a drag strip area. So I think it really doesn't matter how or which package they came from, how to display them. They're just going to all go into one case. And that brings us to another very nostalgic series, Johnny Lightning Hot Rods. I say nostalgic because it looks very 1990s. And everything old becomes new again. As we look at Hot Rods, it reminds me, again, I speak of Hot Wheels. The Hot Wheels Neon series just released for 2024. Very bright colored cars representing Hot Wheels sold in the 1990s that people my age and probably other ages as well are somewhat nostalgic for. And here we have the neon. It was a big theme back then. Cool, we got neon lights, and neon underglow kits were common on cars, and lighting. And anyways, these are all just really cool actual cars of owners. Now, we're going to see some multiple paint variations for these cars as well. There's a couple different card backs in the series. Again, look at the number of cars produced in the limited edition for, I think this was 1994, 1997. Well, I've got 16 of these hot rod neon cars to open up. And here we go. There is the Beast. Well, it's not the Beast, but it is all metal. And the cold mold plastic wheels. It's a nice design. Fairly simplistic paint job, but quite accurate. Comes with another little token. And here we have the hot rods. Bit of sticker price damage on this one. I don't think that's going to matter in about 2 seconds. Nope, doesn't matter. Flathead Flyer. So they each have a name. The last one was the Bumungus. And now we have the Flathead Flyer. So that's a nice reason to keep those little tokens with the car. Match them up. And they'll fit just perfectly on the Plano display cases. Here we have the Franken Stewed, based on a Studebaker. Now, I really do like the pictures of the cars being included, but it's nice that we also have them here. Different color, of course, because there were recolors for each of these cars. That one was limited to 20,000. I'm not sure if that's with recolors. It could be. Meaning that maybe if there was 4 recolors, for instance, that would be 5,000 of each. Hard to say for sure. and I have not looked into it. So here we have the Bad Bird, based off of I believe a 59 or so Ford Thunderbird. Maybe earlier. Maybe later. Maybe a 61, 62. Doesn't actually say. But still really nice casting, and certainly one I don't have anywhere in my collection. In fact, none of these cars I have in my collection, so they're going to be really cool to see all these older Johnny Lightning classic castings assembled together for being able to see it all on the shelf. This is a really nice casting of the 69 Pro Street. It's going to need a bit of a shine, but most of that will come out with a little polish. Surprisingly, sometimes dust can appear on the inside of the package over the years. Maybe just a little bit there. And we have another Bad Bird here. Nice. Deep cherry red. So disregard the 4 paint variation theory. This one is collector number 40 versus collector number 45 for the gold one. And I won't know that after I display these cars and forget years down the road which collector number goes to which car without doing some research back on the Hot Rod series. So 17,500 of each color of car. That means if there was 4 colors, there would be like 56,000 cars sold of that casting in this lineup. That's a tremendous amount of cars. So clearly they were quite popular at the time, and a lot of people bought them, I assume. Maybe not everybody snapped up one of these, or maybe Johnny Lightning didn't sell all of them and ended up recoloring them down the line for different releases. That was the 66 Pro Street. It's another really nice casting. Got a little bit more space. We're going to start crunching these cars together because there's more yet to open. Not too many more. 4, 5, 8, 9 more to open. Here we have the Rumbler. Is that based off of a Rambler? The Rumbler. Nice little station wagon casting. Really clean little casting, actually, with a nice paint job. Collector number 43. And now, yet another Bad Bird. This one is collector number 29. And 20,000 of these, so it may have actually even been released over multiple years with recolors, leading the number to increase from 76,000 to a possible, at least 160-something thousand cars of these sold, assuming there was 4 recolors. I know of 2, at least, for the previous mintage of these, but then again, they're all collector numbers in an overall series, so that's probably the totality of it, somewhere around 60,000. 80,000. Forgive me, here's another one. Bad Bird. 80,000 of these cars released over 2 years in the Hot Rods collection. 80,000. Leave me a comment down below if you have a collection of these, and if you could tell me a little more about them, such as, if you'd like to volunteer anyways, how many of these cars you have in your collection and how many more there are potentially out there that I'm missing, because clearly I'm missing about 34 cars out of 50, assuming 50 was the highest number for this collection. The Going Goat. And it is orange in color, as we can see. Nice car. Parachute on the back. Big scoop there to capture some extra air for the engine. And that is number 26. Made a bit of a mountain over here looking for some more. We've got number 3, Going Goat. That's a recolor. So at least seeing 2 of certain cars to be recolored. Hard to say if all of them have been recolored. How many castings are used in this series, for instance? And another 1969 Pro Street. So we saw that one here with a different graphic, limited to 17,500. And that is a nice car. Metallic blue. They're all going to be rollers. They roll pretty much like giant, heavy old Hot Wheels. Well, not giant. 1/64 scale miniature. Same size as Hot Wheels pretty well. I'm saving my best for last, and that's going to be the Beastmobiles, including a White Lightning there. Bad Bird. So here we have another Bad Bird. It's collector number 6. So now we have 5 color variations of the Bad Bird in this collection of 50 cars total. And so that would be about 100,000 Bad Bird castings out there potentially, assuming all of these cars were created to the limit stamped at the top. Okay, we've got 2 cars left here, and these are them. I almost want to keep this one on the package, but I do want to display it, and it's really cool to see the actual car there. But again, this is the case with so many awesome collectibles, both from yesteryear and today, is the packaging is superb, but in my collection I don't have the space to properly enjoy the packaging for every car I collect, and this collection needs to be displayed altogether and not boxed, which is the alternative at this point in time due to space limitations here in the museum. Even the White Lightning, I love it, and a lot of people would think, you got to keep that on the card. I respect the opinion for that, but in this case, this one's coming out. The clamshell is smashed. We've got some fatigue on the corners and some dust and weathering. Doesn't matter. I don't know what this would be worth in mint condition to anyone out there that is looking to collect this car in particular, but for me, this is cool enough to be able to show it to you as it was intended. Beautiful quality little piece of die-cast history here, and a nice model for the shelf. So that is the hot rods. Where are we going next? Official pace cars. This appears to be a series, given that it's pluralized as cars. And here we have a 92 Cadillac Atlanta. I said Atlanta, but it's an Atlanta. And that was the Indy 500 pace car series. Collect all 12. Official pace car. Has the, we'll look at it closer as we get out of the package. Pretty neat. And the card back has limited information in that it only shows a picture of the car. So this will probably find itself next to one other Cadillac Atlanta that I have in my collection that I know of. I believe it's a gray one. So, pretty cool. And I don't have room to put the card backs, the trading cards, in the Plano cases. So that will be separate for sure. Pretty cool little casting. And now we're on to the surf rods, the endless summers of 60s surfing. Comes another little trading card. This one is not regular format. And the other card that I have here is the Coast Busters. And last look at the back. So, I'm not sure how many there were in this collection, but one can expect there was more than 2. Banzai Babes. That's pretty funky. I like how those colorful surfboards are attached to the roof, probably with a spot of glue. Nice little casting. And now for the Coast Busters. Let's go right in for a look at this car. I don't have any of these in my collection. This casting, I mean. So this is pretty cool. We've got those surfboards attached to the roof. And the pink tinted windows or purple tinted windows. Bad News is the casting name. And we've got the little trading card of sorts. Probably not really a trading card, actually. And there's nothing about the model on there. And what else have I got for you? Well, we're back into some more individual pieces. Trivial Pursuit. This is release 1, so release 1 of Trivial Pursuit. Not a game I have been known to play. Comes with a token here. Trivial Pursuit token. Looks like a chip from a casino. And there is the model. Rubber tires, which is really nice to see. And very cool paint job. All shiny. 1970 Indy car. Really like that the castings have some identifications. Not all of them do, though. As you can see here, this one only has a copyright and the number 556. So it's not similar to Hot Wheels in that way as well, that there were not a lot of consistency on what information was displayed on those cars, or models I should say, over the years. Now we are looking at classic custom Corvettes, one of only 12,500. I can assume that there were different color variations, but I don't know for sure. Limited edition number on base too. Collector breakthrough. This is a collector breakthrough in about the year 2000, I believe. 1997, actually. And we did see this, and still do see this, on a lot of different brands' products. We're going to get right ahead into opening this car up. Seeing another plastic token. Get that out after. It seems to be rather stuck in there. Nice little Corvette casting. It looks like it's a little out of proportion, but I mean, a lot of cars from this era were slightly artistic, let's say. That looks nice. It's pretty close. 1982 Corvette T-top. There was no claims to be 1/64 scale during this era of cars that we're looking at. So that's just something I impose on my, desire of collections. But it certainly isn't the case, and therefore the cars are a variety of different scales, which can make the proportions look a little off when side by side with other vehicles. So here we have nice little Johnny Lightning casting of this Corvette. 1962. Appears to have an opening hood. Well, that's pretty neat. And rubber tires. Now, we've got the one car. I said 80 Johnny Lightnings to be opened up in this video. It's actually 79. One of them is a Racing Champions, which today the parent company of Racing Champions also is the parent company of Johnny Lightning and Auto World. So, I was kind of just fuzzing the title there when I said 80 Johnny Lightnings, because it really kind of is and kind of isn't. This one's neat though. Bad Gasser diecast. Neat artwork. The casting, as you're about to see, is pretty atrocious. Toy-like. Very toy-like. Really has no business being displayed on the plano walls, but we'll take a look at it just because it's here. Look at these front wheels. And, I mean, it has an opening engine bay. That's what it looks like. It looks like a trunk with an engine in it. There's a radiator, some good details. I have to say, that's a nice little engine setup. But something about the whole model just kind of screams toy more than collectible. Great paint job, nicely detailed interior, and just how far Racing Champions cars have come. Now they are definitely a lot more realistic than this plastic base, creaky, big, huge 1950s or 60s Corvette. I guess it was a 62. Anyway, so there's that. Neat little piece of automotive die-cast toy history. And we've got 3 more series to look at before we get into some of the more modern. Here are 5 vehicles from the True Grit collection, a tribute to America's heavy haulers. And there's a few I guess, of the other vehicles in the collection. I'm not sure how many of these there were or how many in the collection, but we've got some very smaller scale vehicles here, as they're mostly representing large moving vehicles, such as this international cube van. What type of international truck is this specifically? It does not say. Plastic box, metal cab and chassis, good details, no opening parts, and true dually rubber tires. So these are all the same. I'm going to just get them open up for you quickly. Let's go look at the Pez van. Wow, Pez Candy in the GMC Savannah van. Really nice. Got the detailed chassis, 2000 GMC 2500. Maybe not a Savannah van. GMC 2500. Here's another one with the Hooker Headers livery. Really cool. Rubber tires on these. And a step van. Rice Krispies. All metal. Dually rubber tires. Here it is with the dots livery. And 2000 Tootsie Roll Industries copyright on it. Quite heavy duty vehicles. Although they don't have suspension, check out those rubber tires. It's almost like, wow, that's a bouncy van. Why does it keep doing that? Holy smokes. All right. Oh, it is a bouncy van. Yeah, they like to tip over. Very bouncy vans. That's really odd. I'm not really dropping them that far. They like to hop quite a bit. Yeah, they do. They like to hop. I cannot put it down without making sure it is in full contact first with the table. Next up, I've got an assortment of cars from the Saturday Evening Post collection with the Norman Rockwell artwork all over each model. And we've got, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 out of what appears to be a total of 12 in this collection. There's that insignia again with the Real Wheels series. So these are all rubber tire. And collect all 12 right there. Saturday Evening Post. Pause on that for future historical purposes. Now I'm going to get everything opened up for you because the card art is the same on each. Here we have all 7 Norman Rockwell Saturday Evening Post collectibles opened up. So first off was the 1975 Chevy van with the Saturday Evening Post. One of the issues artwork is depicted on this as livery, and we'll get more into that after looking at each vehicle because we've got the little trading cards which tell the story quite a bit better than trying to read it off of the van due to small print. Makes it a little more difficult. And also we want to look at the models here more than anything. So Lincoln Premier, I believe. I have all the card backs beside me. But Lincoln, yeah, 1957 Lincoln Premier. I think that one has an opening hood. Yes, it does. What's next? 1960 Ford station wagon. Got a few of these in my collection. I'm not sure. Nope, hood does not open on that one. You can see that now. Really nice little model. Not all of these are going to have the information stamped on the bottom, so that's why I'm relying on the card backs here. 64 Ford Falcon sedan delivery. This one does have an opening hood. Rubber tires for all these models. Nice clear windows and good paint jobs. We've got a 1955 Chevy Cameo pickup truck, which is a really nice looking casting. Good and bouncy. And finally, what have we not looked at? The 55 Chrysler C300 in this baby blue. Really nicely crafted interior. Good opening hood on this one. And I love the grille and headlight work. So that's an interesting collection. Now into the little trading cards or what have you, displays. Saturday Evening Post, beginning in the issue. America's best loved artist finally tells his own story. Norman Rockwell. My Adventures as an Illustrator by Norman Rockwell. So there you go. And here's a depiction of several different issues. And this particular one being March 12, 1955, costing 15 cents. 12-page Norman Rockwell album in full color. Very iconic and memorable pictures here from the past. A past artist, Norman Rockwell. Always have admired his work. This is all hand-drawn by Norman. And incredible art skills. Definitely worthy of a look, and perhaps even to see what the other missing cars in this collection may have been and what artwork or issues they were associated with. So I'm going to display all these vehicles together, despite there being different models and brands of actual car. The final collection I'm looking at with you guys is actually a complete collection of delivery vehicles, Coca-Cola branded, Playing Mantis era. So I believe these are some of the newer ones. 12 vehicles in this set. And the copyright is 2004. So these are 20 years old at this time. The card backs are in good shape. They all have the same depiction of a man carrying some bottles. Delivery vehicle, of course, each one just tells you what type of vehicle it is on the side. And those are all listed in total here at the back. Collect all 12. Got some interesting pictures of vintage Coca-Cola vehicles over the decades. And a little story on Coca-Cola. So that's that. I originally thought I might try to keep this collection carded because it's complete. But that really isn't a good enough reason for me to keep all the cardboard, especially given that there's no picture of the vehicle on the card back, which is my true preference when keeping cardboard. So I'm going to do my due part here in sifting and sorting, separating plastic bubbles from cardboard for recycling so that I can just get right down to the die-cast vehicle, which is the true gem here. Starting with this 1933 Willys delivery. And then we have a 1933 Ford panel delivery. 1940 Ford sedan delivery. A 1955 Ford panel delivery. And in the back, we have what is known only as the International Truck, as far as the Johnny Lightning packaging goes. 1998 GMC 2500 van. 1962 Studebaker. A 1959 Chevy El Camino. 1965 VW Type 2 pickup. And a 1975 Chevy van next to a 76 Dodge van. Here we have the Dodge A100. And back for a zoom out, let's look at each of these quickly. These are all really heavy castings, being all metal vans with metal chassis, rubber tires. Some of them have the details on the bottom as far as the name of the actual vehicle. Others do not. And opening parts on some of them as well. This one's got a little engine feature here. Quite a detailed engine under the hood, but unfortunately that's as far as it's willing to go. Excellent rollers. And some really neat vehicle designs you just don't see very often anymore. Both on the road, of course, and in collectibles being manufactured. The Dodge A100 casting is still in use by Johnny Lightning. Features the drop tailgate and the 3 seats in the back. And I believe the vans are still fairly common. I'm interested to put this Chevy van next to the M2 version of the Chevy van, which was recently released by M2 Cast Line. This one looks just a little funny, almost like the wheels are too small. Too small in diameter anyways. Doesn't quite have the right ride stance in my opinion, and it looks a little wide, almost like a fish tank. The El Camino has an opening hood. Fairly basic print of an engine on the diecast, and same for the Studebaker. Don't think there's any other opening features there. This fan feels a little lighter than I expected. That's because it has a plastic base. And when I say a little lighter, look, it does the jump as well. Okay, same for the International truck with its plastic bottle box. Nicely detailed, including a hand truck mounted to the back and featuring rubber dually tires. Finally, the Volkswagen VW. Looks great. Nice details. Again, no information as to the actual vehicle name. One final set, as it turns out, and it is called Willys Gassers, a complete 6-car set with each of these driver and owner's names, along with the correct picture on a trading card above the model. Willys Gassers Series 2 also made an appearance. And the copyright on Willys Gassers 1 is 2001, so I can imagine Willys Gassers 2 probably came out the year after. And the card backs are going to be the same with the 6 vehicles that you can see there. So Willys Gassers 2 featured these 6 vehicles. And here is the 1933 Willys. Although the base does not have an indication of what year and model this car is after you've opened it up, later models did have 1933 Willys cast into the base. And that goes for this one as well. Really like how well the paint jobs match. We have a 1941 Willys truck. It does not have the name on the base, I don't think. Or yes, this one did. And then the 2 further cars here don't have the name on the base, but I believe they are also 1941 or thereabouts, based on the headlights and grille. And those, of course, are the 2-door coupes. 5-window, as they sometimes were known. This one is actually from 2015, the spoilers, so not very old indeed. So might as well just get that opened up. Certainly I've purchased a lot of these era of Johnny Lightning collectibles myself over the years, but not so much the ones that have the kind of funny looking paint jobs on them. This does not really appeal to me overly. I like realistic paint jobs of the cars, and I do like the exposed engine. That's pretty cool as a drag car or some sort of custom, and it's a really nice model. I just would prefer not to have the 100 currency on the door, but that is the way it is for these cars, and I'm not really sure why. Perhaps it's the real deal. It's kind of neat, but yeah, I guess as a dragster, that's what you get. So, and having no hood and a giant engine, that's what it is supposed to be. Hot rods. Here we have a customized version of a 1932 Highboy from 1997. This one has been waiting quite a while to come out of the package and see the light of day with you. Check out that rumble seat trunk. It doesn't actually open. The roof seems to be attached. It says copyright 2000, so maybe not 1997. I read that wrong. Somewhere in the 2000s. 1959 Cadillac Eldorado from the Classic Gold collection. Don't think it's too important to figure out what year these are from exactly. They were also mass-produced. I'm not sure to what quantity because the packaging doesn't indicate anymore for these particular cars how many molds Johnny Lightning produced. As they do to this day, they actually do tell you that now on the packaging. Really nice Cadillac here. And it's a little skinny, but it's a big car, and they had to squeeze it down to fit the standard size format used by Johnny Lightning. Next up, a 1966 21 model or window Samba bus. Oh, there's Nina joining us for this lengthy opening of Johnny Lightning cars. It takes about 10 times as long for me to get all these cars out and on the wall as if I just ripped and tear it, obviously. But this is the joy of collecting and looking at all these models that haven't been seen in quite some time. One last package made of cardboard that I can easily open. This is a neat feature, which obviously can be retained even after opening. And its packaging has seen better days, so I think that's what we're going to do, is just open this right up now. And hopefully save a little bit of space by doing so. In the collection, it comes with a big plastic base and everything. And wow. Yesterday and Today, the series is known. That's a heavy-duty, like, highway sign. Even comes with a little bit of scaffolding, which it appears I just broke off getting that thing out. It had some little pins gluing this. Well, I'm happy to report that this scaffolding part was not glued on from the factory. I just had to realign it with the pins, so that's back together for our transition between the 1967 and the 2001 Pontiac Trans Am, both featuring opening hoods and quite nice little collectibles. I'm not going to be able to open these single-handed, so forget it. Johnny Lightning Rock and Roll series, Surf City and Fun 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 are the audio tracks that you get on each disc, which is pretty relevant this day and age. And we've got some nice little castings. Now those are going to be cool, so the rest, well, we'll figure out what to do with it. But these were released in 2000. And let's take a look at the cars. Plastic edges have been cut off. Now landing here on the review table. Let's get this car taken out of this packaging. And guess what? It is. That's that Ford Thunderbird casting that we found 80,000 variations of in the Neon series. And here it is in pastel. So like I had surmised, this casting probably was reused over and over again in multiple series, and of course that is true of any popular casting from any die-cast manufacturer. But here it is in peach. And the rest of the packaging, well, comes with a cardboard insert, a little bit of information, but really nothing. A plastic disc, and the Fun 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 Beach Boys song, one track on this entire disc, which there are many of. And here we go. Which casting is this? Looks like a 32 Ford modified with the Woody. Does not say, but I'm going to guess a 32 Ford. Nice little casting, rather light. And now probably four of the nicest models in the collection so far here in the last few minutes of this video. And that's because I really like the direction that Johnny Lightning Cars took at different stages in its existence. Here, under the control and management of RC2, there were still several nice castings for the year and time, which, of course, there's been some growing pains with Johnny Lightning. I've discussed that in other videos. But these were nice releases and sets of cars that were sold in big box stores fairly readily here in Canada. So I was able to find these at normal prices. And I did collect a lot of Johnny Lightning back around the early to mid 2000s. Let's get these opened up, and certainly we'll find a spot for those right next to another very detailed, accurately painted car from that era. Really, my only complaint for this collection is the sheer amount of plastic and the lack of storage options that could be because of the additional plastic. There's just so much wasted space when you have to store these cars. It's pretty much imperative to open them up. And the plastic is quite heavy duty. It's really designed to protect these cars for years and years so that basically they can survive their original owner's collection
thirst for cars and then survive being shipped yet again or put into storage for a long time until they find their next new owner, as inevitably that is what happens to a lucky or fortunate diecast collection, that it finds a new set of hands to appreciate it after collector after collector after collector goes on down the years, down the decades. And so, that being said, a lot of these cars probably can be found at your local flea markets, hobby shops, diecast retail places that sell older stuff, especially diecast merchandise. I know here in my neck of the woods, Aurelia Diecast has a great selection of old Johnny Lightning cars and so many other brands. There's just hordes of things that have been made for now going on 30, 40 years, 50 really years for Johnny Lightning and Hot Wheels, both those companies being around since the late 1960s. So I'm digressing here, but that's kind of my final feedback on where to find these. If you really like a specific model, then you probably should just go to eBay, and you'll probably end up spending 2 or 3 times what you find the vehicle for just on shipping costs. At least for me, buying things internationally has proven to be quite expensive and therefore not really a viable option anymore unless there's some pretty good bulk lots for sale. And even then, I don't really spring for those anymore because I just have so many cars in the collection. So there you go, really nice. These are just as nice as anything produced today by Johnny Lightning, so certainly worth collecting. Got the little card backs. The rest of this can pretty much just be recycled. It's just a lot of plastic, so I always keep the card backs. That's about it. I'm going to get these last 2 cars open up for you off camera now. Now the final 4 cars enter this massive 80 loose diecast car collection. Where am I going to find room for all of these cars? Well, we'll find out at the end of this video. Let's take a good look at these last 4 cars. And starting with the 1970 Chevy Nova SS opening hood. Really nice. Now it does have an old fingerprint, unfortunately, smeared into the roof. Which probably is not going to come off that easily, but it's a nice model. And the card back looks like to be a real vehicle. Like someone's actual vehicle is being depicted here in the casting. Little information on it. And now for this 66 Shelby Cobra, the Uniroyal tires. I think it's a 66. Let's just look at the card. 65 Shelby Cobra Daytona. There's the history on that car. Wow, that's pretty cool. I like the spare tire in there. It looks very good. So the Zamac finish. They've polish coated a bare metal car. Interestingly, the base is not done and is already frosted just from even sitting in the packaging, as many of these cars have. They're not shiny anymore. So we saw the 58 Corvette. Did we see the back of the card? I was talking about other things. And the 69 Mercury Cougar. Oh, it's got the name on the base. Same Mac polished base, opening hood. Looks really good. Nice rolling cars. And there it is with a few details on that particular car. Okay, let's go find out where these cars are going in my museum. Here is a large section of my Johnny Lightning collection that is loose, displayed here on the Plano cases. 49 Plano cases attached to the wall, floor to ceiling. And there are just not very many free spaces to put 80 new models into this collection the way it is. So that means I will need to add a few extra cases. And that will be in a future video. So I hope you enjoyed this one. Happy hunting. And most of all, enjoy the collection you have.